Hello, good morning, and welcome to the first of a not so random Friday musing. I decided to kind of make these a little bit more informational, shall we say. So over the past several years, I've probably filled countless books with wisdom, with thoughts, and so on. And it occurred to me the other day when I thought, what am I actually doing with all of this? It's time surely to begin to impart some of this information to you and hope that you find it helpful, that the wisdom that I've been given will hopefully also help you. So this first not so random Friday musing, I'll give it another name, is about the spiritual hierarchy, which too many people get caught up into. So, and I've actually written the talk, so this is not just random. So we've grown up in a world in which there is a hierarchy. There is a hierarchy of gender, class, wealth, experience, age, and so on. And we assume that this hierarchy also exists within the spiritual world because this is kind of the world we've always inhabited. But each person has a role within this world, every single one. And there is none more important than another. We always seem to think that, if there's on Facebook or Instagram, the person with millions of followers is going to be more important. Or the person who's written a whole series of books, they are therefore more influential, more important. Always this idea that they're at the top of a hierarchy. And so we begin to feel that our role, because it's smaller, because we're not seen by billions of people, because we haven't reached a requisite number in our mind, we seem to automatically assume that our role is therefore much smaller, less important. Okay? Irrelevant even. And so if we try to apply the rules of 3D to energy, to a higher dimension, to spirituality, that's when we go wrong. It's like trying to fit a jigsaw piece into the wrong space. It just doesn't work. There is no spiritual hierarchy. And all that we do when we think of ourselves as less in terms of energy or love or light is that we remove the energy from our own heart, from who it is that we're trying to be. We're literally sort of denying our role within the universal play. You can't possibly have a play without certain characters. If you look at a murder mystery, sometimes it's the person who turns up with 3 lines to say actually are the key to solving the mystery. So we don't know who is important, who is most important. Now, contained within each one of us is wisdom. And as we begin to open up and embrace more light and embrace our light, this allows our wisdom to rise so that our wisdom becomes apparent to other people. This is just like me. I can keep my wisdom in my books, or I can stand up, expose my light, share my light, and hence share my wisdom. Now, it doesn't mean that as our wisdom rises, it doesn't mean that our previous thoughts and feelings are wrong. That's a very easy thing to do. Oh, I thought in this way last year. I had a limited view of spirituality last year. It does not mean that view is wrong. It just means that your spirituality has grown. You now see things in a different light. And what happens nowadays in the media is if somebody wrote something a few months ago, a few years ago, and it wasn't judged by today's standards, they get cancelled. That dreadful phrase. But spirituality doesn't go in for cancelling people. It doesn't go in for cancelling wisdom. All we can say is that was my wisdom then, and this is my wisdom now. It has expanded, it has grown, but it does not mean that your old views of spirituality were wrong. It's just that they have adapted to the ever-changing world, to our ever-changing selves. So all we can ever do, as I wrote, is to speak from our heart. Now, if we carry within us a wounded heart, what we're going to speak is from this wounded heart. Okay? But this idea that then we're saying something wrong, that's incorrect. When we speak from a wounded heart, we are therefore touching other wounded hearts across the world. We are helping them stand up. We are helping them heal. We are making a connection, and perhaps the connection in that moment is on a wounded heart, but in time it will rise and you will build other connections. But, pain is very often a bonding energy. It really brings people together. We find support in other people who are in pain. This doesn't make it wrong. It doesn't mean that a year ago I was in pain and I needed help and therefore I need to deny this. It's just that I'm no longer in pain and now I connect to others in a different way. We can find a support group for anyone. No matter what pain you're going through, there are other people who are resonating with you on that level, and we can support each other. So what's important is that we remember that everything we say, write, share with others, when you speak your truth, it is valuable. Everything is valuable. Even if we regret what we said afterwards, which is very easy to do. We often carry huge amounts of regret. But even if you regret it, it touched somebody else. It made someone else think. It made them change a position, to open their thoughts, open their mind. Anything and everything we do is never ever wasted. It should never be just dismissed. What we say is valuable to one person, perhaps to many. But every piece of wisdom is precious. It is so precious. And if it helps you or someone else to grow, to love, to expand, to become more of your truth, then how on earth can we turn around and say it was a waste? It changed something. So what we have to see is how powerful we are. Our words, our actions, whether they're seen by one person, whether they're seen by millions or billions, everything that you say, that you do, has an effect. It resonates. And the resulting impact of your words, of your wisdom, will still create a massive shift within the universe, because that's how powerful you are. Every single thought that we have, every single action that we take, it affects the energy of the universe. Think about a lake. It doesn't matter how big the stone is that you throw into the lake, it will still create a ripple. You don't have to be a big stone, you could be tiny. You still create an effect. And likewise with healing energies. Again, there's no hierarchy of energies. Some people will say, oh, my healing energy is more powerful than this healing energy. But again, that's placing a 3D hierarchy on something that does not fit into the 3D world. Each energy has its time, its place, and its use. Each energy is called upon at the right time. The skill in the healer isn't necessarily being able to channel the energy. The skill in the healer is knowing which energy to use at which point. That is what is important. But I hear this when people talk about dimensions as well. People talk about, oh, I now exist at a 5D level rather than a 3D level. I have ascended. I have become, therefore, more important. But then the next person comes along and says, oh, you're only working at 5D. Oh, I work at 10D, 15D. I'm working in the highest dimension of all. It seems to be some kind of badge of honour. But if we're walking around saying, look at me, look at the dimension that I'm currently working in, I can't honestly believe that they're working in that, because what we do is just get on with our work. It doesn't really matter which dimension we work at, so long as our heart is open and that we are reaching and touching other people, or just touching ourselves and expanding our own light, just for ourselves. As I grow, I affect those around me. I ripple out into the universe. So working on ourselves is also an incredibly powerful way to change the universe. You know, dimensions are just our way of navigating how we feel within the universe. But let's not get caught up on the fact that one person is working at a higher dimension than somebody else. And we constantly traverse dimensions. If something upsets me, I may go straight back into 3D and be very angry. But after a meditation, I may be existing in, I don't know, what dimensional level. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. It's a journey. So basically what I wanted to put across was, do not get stuck in your place in the spiritual world. Be fluid, be open, be heart-centered. Be you. Allow yourself to express your truth as you feel it in that moment. And know always that how you felt yesterday is not necessarily how you will feel today or even tomorrow. Put aside the judgments and be where you are now and who you are now within that place. You don't need to compete spiritually, because spiritually there are no winners or losers. Again, that is the 3D concept. No winners, no losers, just this journey. This beautiful journey that you are on and that you will always be on until you decide to go back into oneness. Let's put aside the judgments. Let's put aside the fact that one person is better than another, one person more spiritual than another. And let's just be ourselves, because that's what we came here to do. So I hope that helps you in some way. Perhaps it helps you release a worry, an inferiority that you were holding on to. And I look forward to sharing more with... I'll try that again. I look forward to sharing more wisdom with you next week. Many light blessings to you. Bye-bye.